G'day people. Thought I'd make another video, a bit of an update. Had a lot of things go on today, had some very interesting conversations with people overseas, of all things. But yeah, been getting quite a few of these GoldMonsters come in. This one I just finished off. Whoops, don't want to show names and addresses and things on it. But yeah, so this belongs to Jason. Jason, your monster is done. I'll just give it a quick power up for you. So I need to keep that ID tag off it. So I'll just power it up. We'll see how it goes. Should go really well. I've got it on just full auto discriminate 0.05. Power's on 0.05. I've only got the volume up, about a quarter. I'll put it up a bit more, so you might be able to hear it. How about I just go full manual, all metal mode, if you want to call it that. That's on that little spec. Get interference in the workroom anyway. It's asking a bit too much, I think. I'll hold it upwards, side onto the test equipment. It's probably going to be quiet. Yeah, maybe. Famous last words. Your detector is as sensitive as. So just turn it down a bit. Anyway, it was on full. So yeah, that'll be going back to you probably tomorrow. So that one's done. Been having a bit of a run on 7000s that are out of warranty with the screen failure. As soon as I mentioned it, it's a plague out there. 3030s, they have the same thing, the vertical lines, and these detectors. Now, I'm going to tell you something interesting. I'll get the display. That's the actual display. I actually popped it out. And what a job it was to get it off its black plastic housing. This is the one that's got that bloop up there, but the whole thing dies. Now, I actually disassembled the whole thing down to the layers of the glass, the diffuser, everything. I separated this whole thing. I'm not going to do it again, I'll tell you that. Anyway, it still works, but it's got that horrible vertical lines through it. And if you have a look here, you've got to be careful on these. If you want to pull one apart and take the plastic back off it, see that little cable there? Make sure that to get this apart, it's got double-sided sticky stuff on it, which grips like, you know what, to a blanket. Anyway, you've got to open it up a little bit. You've got to be careful. You don't want to twist it because the glass will break. That would be embarrassing. But what you got to do is you've got to get isopropyl alcohol onto the back here and just work it until the plastic bit drops off. So that is our display. I found out a lot of things about displays today, talking to a couple of companies. But it gets better. Just hang on a second. It gets better. But yeah, here's this black thing it sits in. You need that to hold it inside the detector head shell. So it sits in that, and it's got this double-sided tape, which is there. You know, like if I stick my finger on it, there you go. I've got rid of most of it because you've got to put new stuff down. Don't leave the lumpy old stuff there because it'll sit high and low and won't be stable. And I had a talk to people that make displays, who make these TFT displays. And this vertical problem with the pixels dying is common as. It's really common. And they are aware of it. Now, I've got this deal going at the moment. This is the good one, right? I have purchased some test displays, right? They're coming over from a country you could probably guess, but they're coming over. I've got them coming, expedited express delivery, and hopefully I can put one in this gadget here. And if I want them, I could probably get some bulk. But the thing is about these are redeveloped. These are new displays. These are what they would call their version 3. Now, these actual displays, I found out where they're made. I know all about it. I know the actual display is made in one company, and the connector strips and the mylar, the drivers, everything, and the board work is done in other companies. So I've got into one company that can do custom, basically the connectors, the mylar connectors. They can do custom strips. They can do custom chipsets if you need to. They can make all sorts of interfaces. They can even make it TFT if you with touch screen. So if you want, that's an extra lot of expense to do that. But I don't think it's needed. Not in a metal detector. If you dirty fingers, you'll touch it, won't do anything. So better off having buttons, of course. But I'm getting some of these displays over. I'm going to test them, and they should be here this week. They're coming right bang. They're on their way now. So I had a good talk about these displays. I was told all about why they fail. The actual failure mechanism is in the ceiling of these displays, and for some reason it'll break vertically. It just gets a fracture in it along the long side, and bottom will top, and yep, the air gets in, liquid dissipates, and you lose all your pixels because you've got nothing you can control anymore. It just don't work. So that's how these things do work. They're based on standard LCD technology from years ago, but they're not etched. They're all little miniature transistors, little transistor junctions in there. So I never knew. I never kept up with display technology, but now I know. And yeah, I'm getting some ones they are telling me are basically near enough shockproof that it won't break. So if they test okay, and I've got two, so I'm going to probably give it a knock test or two, see if I can damage it. I don't really want to go too berserk. I'm not going to hit it with a pick or anything, but maybe I'll give it a whack with my test stick or something, and we'll just see. And if they live up to expectation, and either I can get some in, I can put them in for you, or if you feel, like you really want to get into your detector, because you look at this thing here, it's in a million bits. I've nearly got the main body of it fixed. I found what's going on there, so it's a little bit of work, but there's a 7000 for you broken down into a box, and yeah, that's how it is at the moment. But it's all coming along quite nicely. I've got everything under control to do the displays, which is quite interesting too, because that brings me back to when I was fixing the GPX earlier model displays by heating and massaging and quickly putting sealant along it. I wonder if they make LCDs too over there. And this one particular company, I'm not saying the name because I'm going to say this: it's commercially sensitive. If I told other detector companies who can make these really good displays? Well, maybe they just go and jump on it and you know, do a deal and sign it all up and have some sort of you know, agreement that they don't sell them to anyone else or something. You know, that could happen. So if I can get these displays and they don't fail, it will be good. Maybe for the other detectors as well, because they tell me that the 3030 ones fail, and there's quite a lot of them out there. I was reading the forums, just seeing. I just typed in display failure, you know, model detector, da da da, and if you have a look, there's quite a lot of people who've had display failures. It's quite prevalent, but if you don't search for it, you'll never know. So uh, that's that. So yeah, 7,000 displays. And the other day too, I was going to do something out in the field and I forgot all about it. But wait till my next field expedition. I'll do it. I'm not going to do it in here. It's completely pointless. So I won't make mention of that, even though I already have sort of. What else is new? Um, oh, what's new? What's over here? Um, yeah, Chari's making up lots and lots of these with a pot on it. And that is not for variable gain in the detectors. It's for something else. And it's not a booster or anything like that. It's for something else to do with detectors. That's all coming together. And that's just, I think that's the final part of it. So it's, yeah, you can see it's got little connections there. I wonder what they're for. But yeah, I keep doing it as a little bit of a tantalization, because what's happening, you're going to see it, but you know that's part of it, and it's quite good actually. It's really really good. It's for detectors. It's for all detectors. We'll say that. So that's over there getting done. Just bang the microphone. What else is there? Don't know. Oh, I had another job I was doing here. Whose was it? Hang on a second. Uh, trying to remember whose it is. Might as well just put it out there now. Not going to ring them and tell them. But yeah, if you recognise this as your 5,000, and I'll make it really recognisable for you, because it looks like you're stuck to pick marks in the screen, so that'll be very obvious to someone. You bang the screen with a pick, but your detector's all fixed up, by the way, and it did have a problem. All fixed up, and it's better than what it was by a long shot, a lot better. So that, and yeah, another detector that um, came in, which is I think it's another 5,000. Um, Short name starting with an M. Um, Yours is done as well. So I know those two were, I think, rush jobs to get them back out quickly. So I'll tell David anyway. David will ring you tomorrow morning, so we'll get these things organised. And yeah, Mr. G, with your 7,000, I've worked out why the unit is not producing any audio, but keeping power onto the screen. When you've turned it off, it kept power to the screen when you turned the detector off. And even though it's got a stuffed screen, you can still read it, of course. I've got that under control. So hopefully tomorrow or the next day, I can have the detector going, and I would like to put a brand new display in it, one of these new ones, um, before I get it back to you. The reason being is that that other screen could possibly totally fail, and you won't be able to do anything with it then. It's no good having a working detector if you can't read the screen. you won't know what's going on. But that's that. Yeah, if you want to talk about it, you can ring me tomorrow, or I could ring you or something. Apart from that, that's where we're at. And yeah, and yeah, I think there's another. There's another. This is my next job. Got all these boxes dropped in. Oh, dear me. Oopsie. Too much information. Didn't realise that was there. Uh, that's all right. It's our information. Fine. So, um, yeah. Okay. Right. There we go. Yeah, that was sent to us anyway. That is. If you want to send any, yeah, let's make sure it's all our information. It is. If you want to send us anything to get repaired, that's the address you send it to there. You can send it to either Detector Mods or Link Technologies, Post Office Box 30. I can't read upside down. Jesus. Sorry, 2025. Post Office Box 2025, Bakery Hill, which is where the welcome nugget come from in Ballarat. And if you want to be really technical, you can always say Bakery Hill, and the postcode's different for Bakery Hill because it goes to the post centre, which is 3354. So yeah, if you want to post anything. And what do we got in here? The monster. So there's another monster for me to do. Yep, good. Let's make sure all bits and pieces are in there. So yeah, and I've got other stuff on the floor, but they're not urgent. So if you don't tell me it's urgent, I do the urgent ones first. Some of them anyway. I'll try and get them all out as quick as I can, but I'm doing a lot of interaction with different companies around the place, and that trying to get new stuff and the best stuff. I could just ignore everything and just plod along and do no innovation and just keep it as it is. But no, innovation is what you want. You want to get the gold. You want to be right on the tip of innovation. So we are heading in that direction. Just keep innovating. Now, one thing I have found, I'll make mention of this. Some of the modifications we do, we can make the detector far more punchy and do a lot more than what it does. But what lets us down, or lets everyone down, and causes drama, is the damn coils. Some of the coils are just so capacitive. They're slugs. They're slow, and they are basically not fast enough for some of the high speed pulses, and that causes a problem. See, a lot of look. I'll tell you how you guys are. You want to crank everything up. You want to get the most depth. You want to get the most sensitivity, right? But it's like saying, well, yeah, we want all that, but we're going to go and put, a 350 Chev motor in a mini minor, and we're going to drive it on wet roads. You got all this power, but you're going to spin around, do donuts. You're not going to go anywhere. And it's like that with detectors. So sometimes I'm a bit hesitant of, giving them the supercharger, because you're going to crank it all up. You're going to put a high capacitance coil on the detector, and you can go, oh, it doesn't perform. Well, of course not. You're spinning your wheels. You actually have to crank things back a bit, and then you'll get the performance. You've got to sort of match the detector to the coils you're using. A lot of these flat wound coils, I'm not saying any particular brand or whatever, but they tend to have higher capacitance and more reactivity on mineralized ground, or severely mineralized ground. Whereas some of the good bundle wound coils are quite good. It just depends how it's all made, put together. Even I'm finding now that the diameter of the individual wire strands used in some coils is reactive to fast switching frequencies that some of the detectors do have, and this can cause a problem because it causes eddy currents to form within the domain time of the detector listening, and it's going to desensitize the detector. What I have found, and I'm not being, I'm trying not to say brands. I just don't want to get there. As soon as you say someone's product, it causes drama. But let's go middle of the road. All the good stuff I've been testing out, I've been using the Minelab coils that have the carbon or graphite painted paper, right? It's archaic, I know, but the ones that are done in the sandwich, right? Like so, work, and they actually work in high-speed configurations. And I'll just say most of them are probably the Commander series. The Commander series coils, you can get the detector screaming at those, and they work fine. They do not have a problem with capacitance. So in that regard, Minelab did a good design on those coils, whereas all the new ones are not paper and painted graphites. They're all different. And if it's done right, it should not be a problem. But I have found problems, and customers have found problems. So you gotta taper the design work to what's out there to a degree, unless you're specific and you say, I will be using these type of coils. I want big deep gold. I don't care about the fly specs. God, you can customize a detector that will be really, really good on that sort of setup, like on the coils, the ground, the target sizes you're after. And then again, you'll say, well, I'm only interested in fly specs. Well, get yourself a GoldMonster. It does just as well. If you ask me, it's probably a little bit better on tiny, tiny gold. You'll never get rich, but you'll find lots of pinheads and birdshot and stuff like that. They are good for that sort of stuff. But you want to get a bit deeper and really punch down where the other detectors haven't been. Basically, there's hidden nuggets under there. People just walk over. I know this for a fact. Um, you can then specify. Say, look, I want it to cover the whole everything. Yeah, it can be done. I want it for big deep gold only. Yeah, it can be done. The other one, which I really hate, is that I can make it do all this wonderful stuff, and we can have it go really deep, and we can have it get pinheads really loud, basically very, very similar to like the GoldMonster does. It probably actually does exactly the same, come to think of it, because I'm just using bigger coils and it's not as intense. And as soon as I go coil size down, you know you don't really go detecting with a 4-inch coil on a pulse induction detector, do you? So um, it's a lot of it's coil specific. It really is. So we can speed up these older pulse detection units. Completely redo all the particular stages inside the detector, and it'll ping on pinheads if you want it to. But because they're not a dedicated single mode machine, that's when we had problems with fine gold. You can't, like, you can amplify a living bejesus out of normal mode and within reason enhance, but fine gold, my God, that is just fussy to how fast you can clock it and how fast you can amplify the signals. It will desensitize if you push it too hard. So I've always been sort of reserved of having enough gain in these detectors that it's going to go like a rocket on enhanced. It's going to go for a rocket like a rocket on using normal mode. But then what happens? Oh, I want to use fine gold. Crank it up full high end on the frequency, high gain, flat out, and the detector goes deaf. Interesting. It's horses for courses. I thought of a way that I could say, right, I'm going to go and have high gain here, high gain there, and basically internally switch it. So I just drop the gain back on fine gold. But it's not the answer. It's going to introduce other problems doing that. I know. It's going to cause coupling issues, but it could be done. And so what I actually have done to get around this fine gold problem, I've done other things inside the detector. I've had to replace parts and change values, and basically now I can scream the hell out of fine gold, right? Um, this is because of innovation, right? I could have just gone, we'll crank the gain down a bit and just sit there and go, yeah, okay, next job, next one, next one. But no, I want to try and push it for you guys. We try and push it as far as we can, and by doing what I've done, I can now push uh, the other modes, the enhanced mode, normal mode, and all the other timings, your sensitive, extra sensitive, smooth, and all the rest. You can push those harder than what you could before. It doesn't amplify a lot of noise from within the detector. If you are near interference, it's going to pick up more interference because you're actually getting more signal coming through. You're amplifying more signal, but the detector won't sensitize or desensitize, should I say, if you crank it right up. So I think I'm pretty positive that I've knocked that on the head. That's a test I did with Mr. M's detector I did out there. That's the 5000. It wasn't my own. That was a customer's detector I did probably 2, 3, or 4 videos ago when I was out on our little test patch. And that was freaking awesome, that detector. That was like screaming. And you could tell when we had all the EMI, I cranked it up, you can hear all the EMI. Out in the goldfields, no EMI. Well, very little, unless you're getting radio sons and over the horizon radar and stuff like that, which, the old woodpecker type thing. Um, mainly in Queensland and WA, but you can get a lot more sensitivity and get a lot more depth when there's no EMI. EMI is the killer. You know, we are working with analog uh, technology. All the multiplexing, everything's analog. It's going to suck in the EMI. You start trying to reduce the EMI uh, too much, and you're going to start losing gold signals. So you've got to bear with it. You've got to have that variable gain we put on these detectors and work that to the point where you're not amplifying too much EMI. It's a sort of a fine line. You just listen to it and you go, well, I can put up with that amount of EMI. I might push it a little bit harder, but it's going to go deeper on the gold. And if I listen carefully, I'll be able to tell the difference between a target signal and it riding on the EMI. I'll be able to decipher that. As a newbie, I wouldn't do that, but someone who's been prospecting for a long time can do that. They just get the ears for it. It's something. It's hard to explain. It's like you can go out for weeks and weeks and weeks and never get any gold, and then one day you'll get gold, and you'll go, and it'll embed in your brain what it sounded like, and you'll go out the next day and you get gold, and you'll get gold from then on. But it's really weird how it works. You've got to actually find it first to get a lot more of it. It's one of those weird things. It sounds like that's not even real, but it actually is. I've been there. I've done it. I remember the first time I found my first little bit of gold. I got tuned in real quick, right? Uh, and did well. I did really well out of gold in the early days, and yeah, it's still there. You just need to improve the technology to get it. Technology now is a hell of a lot better than what it was. Tell you what, I watched that what you call herself, that German bird who has that um, detecting thing on YouTube. Um, I watch it, and they're on a patch. I just only watched this last night, so it's fresh up. can't remember what is it an outback prospector or something? I don't know. Anyway, you'll find it if you go looking for it or ask your friends. But her and her partner got onto this massive, big, flat area over in WA, and they said it was very difficult to get to. You couldn't drive a car there, so they went on quad bikes and all the rest. And I'd never seen, like, it reminded me of the old days. They're going over it, and it's just like, out comes a nugget, couple more steps, out comes a nugget, another few steps, out comes a nugget. The whole place was just littered with gold. But what there was there, and they made mention of this, was there was a couple of decent sized holes, which, they were getting a lot of stuff sort of like that on the surface, but it was deeper holes. And they said, well, people have been here before, but they must have been using the old detectors. Like they could have been using SD-2000s or something. And SD-2000 normally configured will not pick up the small gold. It just won't do it. You need to clock the hell out of it to do it. But you can modify it to do that. But when they came out the factory, they weren't. They were just a general purpose gold machine. Probably good for, I don't know, gram and up maybe if you're using a small coil. If you use a big 18-inch coil, no. But anyway, people had been there. But I think what she was trying to say is that they've been there for the old technology, and they just missed 99% of the gold. It's still there, and they went over it. They were just picking it up everywhere. They got, I think, what was it? Both of them together at the end of the show had about $4,000 worth of gold for. It wasn't even a whole day's work. It was half a day's work. So go find that. I think it's. I'll find out what it is next time. I just look at the content. I don't, you know, worry too much about the characters in it. So I can't remember names and what it was called. It's on my subscription list on YouTube, so it's one of the ones I watch. So it was very interesting. They got a lot of gold, so it's all out there. It's going to have the technology to find it. And on that note, there's probably a lot of big nuggets that people have walked over because maybe they were using old SD-2000s and manual ground balance, you haven't adjusted it right. It's leaning too far to cancelling the ground, and you will probably cancel the nugget. Even a nice big one at depth, you'll probably walk straight over it. And you have it too far the other way, and it's going to ping like crazy on every hot rock, every bit of reactive clay. It's going to drive you mental. You'll give up prospecting. You'll never find it anyway. But it's all technology. Automatic ground balance is a big advancement. In most cases, over manual tuning, automatic tuning. Yeah, great. As long as it doesn't keep, as you come up on a nugget, it wants to do this, and start tuning it out. But I've noticed on the mine labs, they are really good. The new detectors do not. If you have to work really hard, you can, but if you put it in tracking and you go over and over and over gold 100 times, you may diminish the signal a little bit. But normally you won't track out gold. It just doesn't. I've never been able to go over a piece of gold and actually track it out. I know you can if you've got a very minimal signal, and it's a bit broad. It's a deep target, but you're just getting it. If you sit there like a nincompoop and swing over it in tracking 50 times, well, you don't deserve that gold. That's been balanced out. You don't deserve it. But you put your detector in fixed. Track it first beside the target, then go over it and fix so it doesn't track out. And then you'll say, yeah, nah, dig it or not. You get that thing. You'll come at it every direction, see if it's consistent. Even that doesn't tell the true story sometimes. It depends what the ground's like here, and here, and the target's in the middle. You might get some funny effects, like you'll hear it one way, you won't hear it the other. And you'll say, oh, that's clay, or that's some sort of mineralization. Not always. I've found that too. So, I could probably write my own book on prospecting. probably forgotten more about it than what I retained. But yeah, had every detector from early VLFs all the way through. And if I haven't actually bought it, I've had it come in and I've gone and tested it, haven't I? So yeah, I've used them all. It's a bit of an eye opener. Anyway, that's enough waffle. Like I say, I was going to talk about mainly about the new LCD displays that I've got coming in for the 7000. So, and yeah, I went off topic, didn't I? Ha ha, sue me. Uh, but yeah, that's where we're at with that, and yeah, all good. Anyway, it's probably enough. Yeah, it just can't come to me that name of that what she calls herself, because it doesn't show. I just go to the subscription. It says something there, but I just know the picture of what it is, and I just click it. So I don't really read it. I probably read it once 12 months ago and never read it ever again. So yeah, the German bird. Ask people about the German bird, who is out in WA, and yeah, it's actually interesting. It could be a bit monotonous for some people, but if you're just picking up gold every 5 minutes or whatever, I don't know how monotonous you think that is, but yeah, have a look at it anyway. It's on YouTube. Damn it, I just can't think of it. I don't know. It just I just can't remember. It's too long ago since I actually looked at it. But it's there. She puts heaps of videos out, so go and have a look at it. Anyway, catch us.